It is said that it takes a village to raise a child. But ask the question, who is the headsman and the headswoman of that village? It is you as a parent. And hence, it's very important for you to ask this question, is my parenting failing? Or in general, all of us as parents together need to start asking this question. Why is our parenting failing? And we are seeing so many disasters with our children and with our teens in the world today. And that question comes back to how the village is raising the child and how you as headsman and headswoman of that village are really taking care of and instilling qualities and values in your child. If you are a rational, emotionally balanced, and if you are a focused, careful parent, then as headsman and headswoman, you are raising your child correctly. But imagine if this headsman or headswoman of the village is an irrational human being making random choices, or is a reactive human being not even able to handle their own marriages and relationships and society, and is going on continuously criticizing, judging, etc., then what is that child learning? Imagine if this headsman or headswoman has all sorts of priorities and doesn't make the child his or her number one priority. Then imagine the quality of the child that we are raising. So I will say this again and again and multiple times, that all the trophies in our life that we are collecting in terms of our status and money and power and everything else that we are working for, one day will become irrelevant. But remember one thing, that your parenting will matter. It will matter, either it will outlive you and matter, or if the product of your parenting perishes before you, then again it will matter. Either which way, you will live to bear the consequences and the outcomes of your parenting. So it's important to ask this question. Why is parenting failing so much? Stay with me to the end. This is a long discussion. Highly likely you will pick up something for yourself or for those around you to share. But predominantly parenting is failing because of three major reasons. Either it is the intellectual immaturity of the parent, or it's the emotional immaturity of the parent, or it is the parent not making it the child his or her number one priority. And the fact is, both parents need to do this. So let's go a little deep into this. What does intellectual maturity mean? And why does intellectual immaturity come in? Intellectual maturity is about knowing our subjects really well. It's about knowing what a family stands for, what a marriage stands for, what a career stands for, what children stand for, what psychology of relationships are. How do you make great relationships and great connects and carry them forward? How do you work to make the right choices in life? Ultimately, intellectual maturity is about making great choices. And I'm not talking about idealistic choices. I'm not talking about perfect choices. I'm talking about great choices given the conditions in which you are. So if you lie and make a bad choice there, your child is going to lie. If you are unplanned, then your child is going to learn being unplanned. If you are defocused in life and if you're going all over the place, making bad choices, your child is going to pick up some of those things. So as parents, it's very important for us to first become intellectually very mature. Learn what it is to live life as a great human being. Learning everything from self-management to life management to financial management. We should not be in a place where we go on saying things like, I don't care, I don't know, let's see how it turns out to be, etc., etc. Now, you may ask others for help. You may seek out an expert and seek a financial advice or behavioral advice or relationship advice. But it cannot be that 90% of your life is being run by the opinions of others. So intellectual maturity is really about quality education and what sits up here in your head as parents. And when you have quality education up here about the various aspects of life, everything from personal and health management all the way to relationships and society and career management, and then you are able to teach your child all of those things, that's when the the intellectual maturity comes into your child. If you are living bad choices in all aspects of life or any aspects of life, or any one parent is doing that, and forget about being great at whatever you're doing in your career and everything, if you simply are very bad couple together, even then, or a bad family together, your child is learning the intellectual immaturity. An intellectually mature child, let me correct myself, intellectually mature child is deeply ingrained in values of life, in traditions of life, in understanding of what he or she needs to be doing, whether it is about studies or managing time or getting into sports or getting into hobbies, or how to choose friends, what habits to have, what habits to stay away from. The child is making great choices every day. And that's the product that we need to create. The child is ultimately a product of our parenting. So, my friends, I invite you, number one, to examine your own intellectual immaturity, learn, cover the abyss, ask helps from experts if you need to, and then pass on that maturity of making great choices to your child. And in all aspects, teach the child fitness, teach the child how to manage time, teach the child how to excel in academics and be successful, teach the child how to handle failures, teach the child how to be successful at building relationship, exploring new things and understanding. Remember, the child is continuously discovering this world, and it's in that discovery that that child needs to have great choices. Because with everything that the child chooses to discover and discard, if the choice is made that I will discard only that is not useful, then it is wonderful. The child has learned rationality. The child has learned purposefulness. If the child chooses to carry on a hobby, carry on studies, carry on a certain profession, excel in whatever they do, then the child is really learning to be purposeful. In fact, here is a bare minimum standard that we need to be teaching our children. It is consistency. Because it's through consistency that we can get to excellence and success in life, and the child needs to learn that. Now, whichever economic strata, social strata that you belong to, there are fundamental things that the child can be consistent with, and some of those are about physical fitness, mental aptitude, academics, hobbies, skills, and traits which will help the person be successful, including how to build relationships and work. So please fix this one area. It's extremely important that your child makes great choices. With that, let me get to the second part, which is emotional maturity and emotional immaturity. Now let's talk a little bit about emotional immaturity. Look at so many couples, so many parents. Many of them are living lives of silence, not sharing their thoughts, not sharing their emotions, or violence, using anger, physical assault, greed, jealousy, so many things. Couples fighting with each other, sometimes couples fighting with their parents, couples fighting with their siblings over property, couples fighting with society, criticizing maids, fighting with neighbors, fighting on the roads, in road rage. All of this emotional lack of regulation, all of this indulgence in negative emotions of anger, greed, sorrow, jealousy, manipulation, deceit, the child is picking up all of these lessons. A lot of emotionally immature parents are so indulged in their own life, in their own hurt, that beyond their own world, they are not able to see things. The man and the woman not able to enjoy the marriage, or the family not able to enjoy familyhood, or not able to tolerate each other. Everybody struggling for space, or the extended families really not able to see eye to eye. You have friends, and it shows that those friends are only connected because of their vested interests or vested gains. And everybody coming together, pompous show, grandiose acts, or negativity towards the country, the system, the education, blame game happening. Where is all this leading? You are teaching the child to live a life of anger, rage, anxiety, greed through all of these things. You're not teaching the child a life of love, a life of harmony, a life of compassion. So, my friends, as parents, it's very important for you to balance your own emotional lives and maturity. Come out from this whole thing of your own indulgence with your past. There are so many of us who are living with the faults of our past, the events of our past. We can't sleep, we can't think, we have lifestyle issues. You are running against some ghost, trying to win against life in some weird battle. And when you are in that weird battle, the maturity is not coming. Your emotional maturity as a parent comes in being healed whole and complete, being grounded in positive emotions like love, faith, harmony, compassion, not having any essence of anger and other negative emotions towards anybody. And much of this being practiced unconditionally, because anyone who's conditional will get triggered very, very easily in their life. So if conditions are met, I will be good. If conditions are not met, I will be triggered. Then it is not coming from deep within you. Emotional maturity comes from deep within you. And when you have that emotional maturity deep within you, you will teach your children those values. You will teach your children those emotions. You will help them understand what it is to live in peace, love, joy, harmony, coexist with others, co-create with others. So many corporates spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to teach their employees compassion and peace and coexistence and collaboration. You know what? All of the negative lessons were taught all the way back from the family. And that's why it's so difficult for people to change. So that's how deep the consequence is. So parents need to heal, and parents need to teach positive emotions. Ultimately, what are you working on? An emotionally mature human being is great at self-regulation and impulse control. Whatever the situation is, whether it's positive or negative, you don't overreact. Joy doesn't make you indulge, and sorrow doesn't make you grieve and withdraw. Whatever is the situation, you face it. You may have anger, you may have sorrow, you may have greed or jealousy that comes up, but you learn to channelize that, and you're channelizing and teaching that to your child also. So an emotionally mature parent is going to teach that emotional maturity and the self-regulation to the child. And that is what is the ultimate act, what you need to understand and engage in. Create emotional maturity for yourself and teach the child that emotional maturity. In that emotional maturity, the child will gain the self-regulation and impulse control to deal with life, deal with their fears, deal with their anxieties, deal with their challenges, deal with ambiguous situations, deal with complex situations, deal with crises, deals with downturns, deal with highs of life, gains of life, deal with ecstasies of life. And when they learn to deal with all of these things in the right way, when they are self-regulated, they will be so much better in dealing with their lives. The fights with friends would not get to their heads. Breakups will not get to their heads. Successes or failures in relationships will not get to their head. Success or failure in career and money and gains would not get to their head. They will stay grounded. We use this term so much, grounded. Where does grounding come in? The grounding comes from being emotionally mature. So those are two powerful anchors that you need to have in your life when when you as parents let go of your intellectual immaturity and emotional immaturity, you have great chances of gaining maturity and teaching that maturity to your child. A child who is intellectually mature and who is emotionally mature is going to make great choices and have a lot of self-regulation to deal with life in the real way. Remember, our children are continuously exploring the reality of this world. It's true for us also. We are also continuously exploring the reality of our life. We have not seen our whole lives. Many of us still have 10, 20, 30, 40 years of our life ahead, and none of us knows what it is out there. So we also need maturity to deal with that reality in the correct way and not to overreact and not to overcompensate or undercompensate or indulge in life. And that's the same thing that our children also need. They cannot go into the world overindulged or underregulated, or they cannot go into the world without the right kind of tool sets to deal with it. So as parents, think about this very deeply, about the choices that you're making. Instead of love, if you're giving your child devices, it isn't going to help. You're teaching your child entitlement. Instead of spending time with them, if you're taking them to vacations in the quote unquote thought that we will get to spend time with the child here in quality, then that again is going to teach the child a lot of entitlement. Many times before you splurge gifts and vacations and expensive things on children, you really need to ask this question: that has the child done their job to deserve this indulgence? If the indulgence is a reward, then you're also teaching the child the system of rewards, working hard for something. Don't overdo that also, because you cannot be doing payoffs throughout life. But the fact is, there has to be some achievement motivation that you built into your child. You know, some of you may think it's very critical when I say this, but imagine if the child has a 5,000 rupee salon bill in a week or every alternate weeks, and then that child gets indulged in drugs. It isn't the child's fault. The parents have taught how to splurge money, or that boy who's given access to an expensive car, or for that matter of fact, given access to a car before his age, or whose clothes are costing about 20 or 30 grands. Would he then respect traffic laws or respect others when he or she drives? This is the way that we are creating indulgence. So forget about these where it is about money. If you are a household where criticism, judgment, and other negativities are doled out easily, then you're again teaching the child that this is the mechanism with which to deal life. So whether you are teaching your child indulgence and entitlement, or you're teaching your child aggression and and such other things, or arrogance, it is disservice to yourself and it's disservice to your child. Without intellectual maturity and emotional maturity, some of these things won't stop. But that brings me also to the last stage. Can only a parent being emotionally mature and intellectually mature be enough to take care of the child? No, you also have to make the child your number one priority. You have to ensure, both of you as parents have to ensure consistent parenting, and that means both of you having the same approach to parenting, agreeing what is your parenting script and dealing with the child with the same way. It cannot be that the child runs to the father to escape from the mother, or to escape from the mother, or the other way around, escape from the father, you go the other way. So it cannot be that the child is using one parent against the other, or grandparents against the parents, or any such thing. The script of parenting has to be consistent. The child has to be your number one priority when it comes to the child's health, the child's mental well-being, the child's overall fitness and approach towards life, the child's eating habits, the way the child engages with academics and hobbies, and the way the child engages with teachers, friends, society. You have to be there. So sometimes, and why I'm saying you have to make your child the number one priority, because sometimes you have to show up as a teacher for the child. Sometimes you have to show up as a mentor or as a coach for the child. But sometimes you have to show up as the corrector or the guidance for the child. Sometimes you have to show up as a friend for the child. There are other times where you have to just be a facilitator and create situations and watch the child bloom in that. And you have to play these roles dynamically every single day. Too many parents today say our child doesn't listen, they are under the influence of media, social media. All of that is happening because you, at some point in time, as both parents, did not have the intellectual maturity, emotional maturity, and did not make the child your number one priority. All three of them together. Even if you made your priority and you did not have the maturity to handle the child, you will still fail. If you have the combination of all three maturities, then the child will highly likely listen, become a great individual, great citizen, great member of the family. The child will learn virtues, values, excel at academics or excel at whatever they want to do. Everybody's brain has been given a gift. So there is something that the child will excel in. There will be something of interest that the child will learn. And even if it is not excelling at many things today, maybe the child will discover over a period of time, but at least the child will have the skills to live life. Do not leave your child at the mercy of society, the system, the internet, and especially don't leave your children at the mercy of Instagram and the internet out there. It's a dangerous space from where children are learning things. And when they learn those kind of things, their desires go amok, their indulgence goes amok, their dates, their drives, they create havoc. And that's where challenges will come up. So it's your job to be mature and to teach your child maturity. It's your job to ensure that they do not become indulgent, arrogant human beings. They're grounded, they respect people, they respect laws. And remember what I said when I started off, that all the trophies that you're collecting in your life, your status, your power, your money, at some point in time, it will stop having any importance. But your parenting, it will either outlive you, or if the product perishes before you, anyway, you will know the consequences of this. Either which way, you need to be very careful with how you are parenting. It may take a village to raise a child, but you as parents are the headsman and headswoman of the child. The child may have his or her own choices and destiny, but you can prepare the child's potential. We cannot control our child's possibilities, but we can control our child's potential and the child's response mechanism to life. Do well.